interesting topic, China in United Nations peacekeeping missions and conflict resolution. I would like to reconnect through Zoom with Dr. Li Han from Communication University of China.
Okay, thank you very much for your introduction. Many essential topics and research findings are shared today. I'm grateful to be invited to participate in this rich and nourishing, insightful workshop today. So I'll be sharing some thought and findings on China's gradual involvement and increasing influence in the world peacekeeping missions. And I plan to share with you through 5 subtopics as follows. So I'm going to just move forward with my slides. Okay, to review China's peacekeeping conditions through a historical lens, to identify peacekeeping motivations, to review existing contribution, and to understand China's epical concept that conclude with a note on multilateralism. Now, first, China peacekeeping is based on its involvement in the UN at the beginning, which is one of the most authoritative and systematic international organizations in the world today. It showed us the mission. It showed us the mission of maintaining a peaceful international order and also promoting common development. Now, the historical background of the UN reveals to us in China's initial and also indispensable involvement as leading establisher and also key supporter. These are the fundamental historical preconditions which enabled China peacekeeping actions. Now, here are the quotes from the celebrated conferences that signify steps into the formation of the UN, which took place in 1940s. It is clear to see that upon truth of the World War II and victories over fascism, and peace and security for mankind is at core of the UN spirit. The declaration by United Nations, originally laid out and pledged by 4 leading establishing nations, including China, has appeared for the first time as one of the 4 wartime powers in an international document. And later, in the signing of the Declaration on Universal Security, signified China as a leading peace-seeking nation, which was formally established. And also China's appointment as a permanent member of the UN Security Council was also a significant recognition of China's major contribution and status as a strong guarantor of the world peace. Now, China has always been a key supporter of the UN by abiding firmly according to the UN Charter. It also believes and upholds an international system with the UN at its core, and also international order on international law, and also institutions, actually. Now, China participates in multilateral affairs in an all-round way. It is present in almost all universal intergovernmental organizations under the UN system and acceded to more than 600 international conventions, concluded more than 27,000 bilateral treaties with the foreign countries. It also conscientiously fulfills its international obligations, such as contributing to more than 70% of the world poverty reduction, provided assistance to over hundreds of countries in the South-South cooperation. And almost half of the world, including 19 UN agencies, have signed the Belt and Road Cooperation, as mentioned before by your speech. Now, what motivates China to participate in peacekeeping is proposed to be strongly driven by its internationally communicated, the path of peaceful development strategy. As a heritage of China's history and culture, the path strategy is a combination of Marxist view on peace and also the ancient Chinese spirit of 和精神, as we say. In the response to international opinions and to resolve national development needs, China resumed its seat at the UN and also joined the globalization process, including the peacekeeping operations. Now, explaining and advocating the past strategy, respectively, in 2 landmark white papers, both in 2005 and 2011, it reveals China's understanding of peace, both philosophically and also pragmatically, in which we see that China develops itself through maintaining world peace and maintains world peace through its own development. China's peacekeeping contribution are mainly materialized through participation in the UNTSO and UNPK operations. It initially joined the United Nations Troop Supervision Organization, which is the UNTSO, in 1990, and this year, 2023, marks the 23rd anniversary. Now, principle-wise, China has maintained the UN peacekeeping operations to be strictly abided by the Charter and by the three basic principles on which UNPK rests. China has conducted actions that respect national sovereignty, opposed hegemonism and power politics, stopped interference in the internal affairs of the countries with help of peacekeeping operations. Action-wise, now China has become a key force in UNPKOS, actively participated in and contributed in all 5 expanding range of the deployments. From ceasefire supervision as China's first mission undertaken, China has sent over 2,000 military professionals to 25 missions and UN headquarters over the past years. Now to also the stabilization of local situation. By August 2020, China battalions had completed 51 long-range and 93 short-distance patrols and completed over hundreds of armed escorts and over 30,000 hours of patrols in the weapon-free zone, and also to the protection of the civilians. Now, actually, China mainly contributes in providing force protection, which sees Chinese military successively dispatch 8 deployments of nearly 1,500 officers and troops, carrying out more than 3,900 armed vigilance patrols, as well as deploying enabling capabilities, as China contributed over hundreds of engineer units, totaling over 25,000 troops to 8 different UN peacekeeping missions around the world over the past 30 years. Infrastructure-wise, China has aided nations to build or repair more than 17,000 kilometers of roads and more than 300 bridges, cleared more than 14,000 mines and unexploded ordnances. Now, in the following slides and data, which shows China's gradual increase in contribution in the UN peacekeeping operation from the 1981 and to 2017. In the year 1981, marked the first time that China explicitly supported a UNPK operation and began to pay its assessed contributions. And in the year of 2009, by 1990, marked the beginning of Chinese army participation in the operation. And by the year of 2002, China has formally joined the United Nations peacekeeping standby arrangements. And by the year of 2017, the Chinese military completed the registration of 8,000 peacekeeping standby forces within the United Nations operations. So overall, China in peacekeeping is not only the country that sends the largest number of peacekeepers among the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, but also the second largest contributor to the UN peacekeeping financial assessments. The Chinese military has sent more than 40,000 peacekeepers and participated in 26 United Nations peacekeeping operations. And 2015 was a landmark year in China's rise as a global peace and also security provider. Now, as China becomes more involved in global governance and UN peacekeeping operation, it has gained a profound knowledge on which resulted in the proposition of the epical peace-related concept of a community of a shared future for mankind, in which it provided a global set of shared values with peace at core and also aimed at addressing common challenges for mankind as a Chinese perspective. China continues to contribute in peacekeeping as its internal outlook on its relations with the world has changed, transformed over the years. And in the series of Chinese leaders' public speeches at the UN General Assembly, we can account for such epistemological transformation. From the 1960s, we raised the 2 middle ground theory and also to the 3 worlds theories. We actually adopted a Netherlands-like approach. However, this changed in the 1980s. As the implementation of the reform and opening policies came along, we see a Chinese answer to itself and to the world in the strategic emphasis of peace and development in a multipolar world. Now, since then, Chinese leaders expressed a 2-dimensional self versus world peace views and also positions in the concept of the harmony in diversity and also harmonious world concept in 21st century. And by the year of 2012, China put forward the vision of multiple multilateral and also multi-dimensional peace view that concerns not only China, but also the entire mankind, as President Xi Jinping elaborated the concept throughout many, many occasions in the UN public announcement and also speeches and conferences. So it is very clear to see that the concept has gradually gained international consensus by being widely accepted and numerously written into resolutions as UN regimes since then. This could be seen as China sharing its experience and showing determination in providing other emerging countries with an alternative Chinese path and model, and also resolution to modernization. Now, as today's world is experiencing major changes, unprecedented in a century, traditional and non-traditional security issues are intertwined, and the rise of unilateralism, regional frictions, and digital divide highlight many difficulties faced by the world, the UN, and also bringing out difficulties in peacekeeping and also instabilities in regional places. Now, safeguarding world peace is the chief responsibility of the UN. And also we can see major contributions of China's participation in the global governance system. As China views UN peacekeeping operation, one of the most important practices of multilateralism, in which we can review its contribution in the arena, showing its practice of the peaceful development path strategy, and also its position in organization operations have also improved visibly and effectively. Now, let's hope in the near future, we expect a further increase in influence from China in the peacekeeping arena, as China strives to bring in an alternative and developing country perspective, calling on multilateral efforts in building a community of a shared future of mankind. And this marks the end of my speech, and thank you all very much for listening.